Well, there's a wave of political outsiders running for Congress, including Jahana Hayes. She gained national attention in 2016 when President Barack Obama named her the National Teacher of the Year. Well, now she's running for Congress as a Democrat in Connecticut, and her latest campaign ad has gone viral. It has more than 6 million views.
Teachers are nation builders. That's our job, to affect change, to improve outcomes. Isn't that the same job of Congress? I know how to advocate for people. I know how to fight hard to make sure that we are improving the lives of people with better jobs, stronger schools, affordable health care, giving the care that we expect from our neighbors. If Congress starts to look like us, no one can stop us.
Jahana Hayes joins me now here in New York. Let me ask you, talk about the parallels here between being in the classroom, being in Congress. How did you decide to do this? You're elevated to this national profile of being named Teacher of the Year. Why did you decide to run?
Well, I never, ever thought realistically about running for any political office. I thought that I was doing what I was supposed to do. But something has been happening in our country, as you very well know. I worked a lot with the previous administration, the Secretary of Education, and when the incoming administration came in, one of the first things that I heard was, I want to move government out the way so that families can make the decision for their children. And immediately that did something to me, because I came from a family that my mom struggled with addiction. My grandmother raised me. I was a teenage mom. I lived in public housing. Like, who would have spoken for me? Was my first question. And time again, I found myself asking that question: who will speak for them? Who will speak for children at the border? Who will speak for working families? Who will speak for communities that are being marginalized? And I feel like regular people have to take a more active participation in this government to make it right.
Tell me about the district you're running in. This is the 5th district. It's in the Northwest. It's a tricky district because the population is very diverse.
I like to think of the 5th district as like a microcosm of society. We have some of the most depressed communities economically and some of the most affluent communities. We have farming communities. We have urban centers, suburban communities. So it's everything. So we really need a representative who just understands and cares about people, because there's no way any one person will be an expert in this community. When we talk about the environment, there are some communities that are talking about open space, and there are some communities that are talking about cleaning up brownfields. So it's so dynamic and diverse. So you just really have to care about people.
How hard is it when you're running for Congress here at a local level for a federal government office to keep the focus local? We just saw a clip of that ad. 6 million people have watched. I imagine that's bigger than the population of this district. How do you navigate that? The national interest, here you are on MSNBC, in what you're doing here, all the while maintaining focus on what you hope to accomplish at a local level?
Well, I think I know a little bit about that answer, because as National Teacher of the Year, one of the things I did was traveled all around the country, visited many states, worked with many different groups. And what I found out was we care about the same things. So it's not just the people in Connecticut who are thinking about how do we make sure that public education is strong and it remains. It's not just the people in Connecticut that are talking about we have to make sure that Medicare and Social Security are sustainable for another 100 years. So I think my state is just geography. I know that the concerns are shared concerns. I know that the issues are shared issues. So my role would be to bring the perspective of the people of Connecticut to a conversation that's already happening nationally.
I imagine there's becoming a bit of a community of outsiders. You look here in New York, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, who's gotten a lot of publicity since she defeated Joe Crowley in a primary. She wasn't endorsed by the party. She came in from the outside. You're in a very similar situation, and it makes me wonder about the role of the party today. Were you disappointed not to get it? What does it mean for your candidacy that you don't have the Democratic Party's back? And could it, in a kind of perverse way, help you not being aligned with the party?
Well, I'd be lying if I said I wasn't disappointed. But at the same time, I thought, how incredibly amazing is this? I entered this race 9 days before the convention. Connecticut is one of 2 states that still has a convention. And 12 days. And in 12 days, I was able to get 49% of the vote. The endorsed candidate and myself are only separated by 2 votes, literally 2 votes. When I looked at the delegates, I saw that my message is resonating across economic demographics, across community demographics, age groups, different people. So it just really empowered me. The other thing is it got lots of people to really take notice and say, what can I do to help you? How can I volunteer on this campaign? But I think more importantly, if we are really trying to compel people to engage in a meaningful way, in government and democracy, we're saying to regular people, we need you, we want your help, then we have to have a system that invites people in and welcomes them when they get there. So I guess I'm still not sure where I stand on the whole system, but we cannot say to people, we need you and we want you here, and then when people like me step up, it's barrier after barrier after barrier to getting, to the table.
Last question here is just about platform and how you begin to construct one. You were a teacher, you're an academic administrator now, education very central to your platform. How do you begin, as somebody who's a novice here when it comes to running for office, to build that? And what are the other issues that you care about here going into this primary in just a couple weeks?
Well, I think the benefit of being a teacher is that education is not a single issue topic. When you're a teacher and you're in the classroom, you can't help but deal with kids who have parents who are unemployed, kids who are homeless, kids who don't have health insurance, kids who are afraid of the violence in their communities, kids who are, thinking about substance abuse and what that looks like and how to navigate their way through it. So teachers deal with this every day. We're having conversations like this. We're dealing with families. We're working in communities. What I'd like to do is take that information and just shift gears to a point of advocacy from a leadership perspective. Not just working, in silos, in small groups in my community, but really take what I know and what I've learned and begin to share that information. I'm not trying to pretend to be a politician. I'm not trying to pretend to run on a platform of a long political. What I'm saying is that I offer a perspective and bring something that is valuable and that is missing and that should be included in this conversation.
Great to meet you. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me.